People fear monsters because they roar. They fear enemies because they fight. But Ayanokoji, he doesn't need to move, shout, or even blink. And yet, the room changes the moment he enters. Why? What makes someone terrifying without even trying? Imagine this. You're in a classroom where everyone is loud, competing for attention. But in the back corner sits a boy, expressionless, quiet, eyes half closed as if he's not even interested. No one notices him, until suddenly the chaos starts shifting in his favor. That boy? That's Ayanokoji. Here's the strange part. People aren't scared because of what he does. They're scared because of what they don't know he'll do. That kind of fear is deeper than shouting or threats. It's psychological. And in this video, we're going to break down exactly why Ayanokoji's presence alone creates fear. Without effort, without words, and without mistakes. You'll see the invisible weapons he carries, and more importantly, how you can use the same psychological principles in your own life. But let me give you a warning. Once you understand these secrets, you'll never look at silence, stillness, or emotional control the same way again. Have you ever noticed how the quietest person in your group often knows the most? That's not an accident. That's psychology. And by the end of this video, you'll know why people fear the ones they can't predict. And before we dive in, if you want to master these same tools of invisible power and control, this channel is built exactly for you. So hit subscribe right now, because every week we decode strategies from characters like Ayanokoji that you can apply directly to your own life. Now here's the real question. Why do people fear Ayanokoji without him lifting a finger? The answer begins with unpredictability. People don't fear strength. They fear the unknown. A punch you see coming, you can dodge. A storm you can predict, you can prepare for. But the storm that is silent, the strike that comes from nowhere, that is what terrifies people. And that's exactly why people fear Ayanokoji, without him even trying. Imagine a classroom where everyone is fighting to prove themselves. One student brags about his intelligence, another shows off his strength. But in the corner sits Ayanokoji, expressionless, quiet, almost invisible. Everyone assumes he's harmless, until suddenly he moves. And in a single moment, alliances collapse, leaders are exposed, and the balance of power shifts. Nobody saw it coming. And that is why he's dangerous. Have you ever noticed how the quietest person in the room makes everyone the most uneasy? It's because unpredictability is the greatest weapon of all. Psychologists call this the uncertainty effect. Your brain craves patterns. You want to know what's coming next. Predictability gives comfort. But when someone breaks that pattern, your brain panics. In fact, studies show that people fear uncertainty more than pain itself. If I tell you you'll get a painful shock in 10 seconds, you'll tense up, but you'll prepare. If I tell you that shock could come at any second, your mind collapses under the weight of not knowing. Now think about Ayanokoji. He is the shock. He is the storm you cannot predict. And that's why people fear him. Here's the real twist. Unpredictability doesn't just protect you, it destroys others. When people can't predict your next move, they overthink, they second guess, they make mistakes, they reveal weaknesses. And Ayanokoji? He doesn't even need to strike first. He just watches them fall apart. And there's one silent trick he uses to magnify this unpredictability even further. We'll uncover that in a moment. But first, let's make this practical. In your conversations, stop oversharing. Leave space for people to wonder. That uncertainty makes them respect you or fear you. In competition, don't show your full hand. Let them think they've figured you out, then surprise them when it matters most. And in leadership, stay calm under pressure. When others panic, your stillness makes them collapse while you remain untouchable. Because predictable people can be controlled. But unpredictable people are feared. Calmness is supposed to be comforting. But Ayanokoji's calmness is not the kind that soothes you. It's the kind that makes your skin crawl. Because when something terrible happens, most people panic, flinch, or at least show a spark of emotion. Ayanokoji? He doesn't even blink. His calm is not human. It's unnatural. And that's exactly why people fear him without understanding why. Let me paint a picture. Imagine a group of students facing total humiliation with everything on the line. They're anxious, sweating, arguing, and desperate. But in the middle of this storm sits Ayanokoji, expressionless, relaxed, almost bored. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't try to calm others down. He just watches. And that is what terrifies them, because his stillness is not normal. It's not the calm of someone who's confident. It's the calm of someone who doesn't care if the world burns around him. Psychologists call this the uncanny valley of behavior. You've heard of the uncanny valley in robotics. When something looks almost human but not quite, it disturbs us on a deep, primal level. The same thing happens with behavior. When someone reacts in a way that is close to normal, but just off enough, it unsettles you. Think about it. If everyone in a room is laughing and one person sits in silence, staring, you notice them. If everyone panics during a crisis and one person stays disturbingly calm, you fear them. Why? Because your brain can't map their reaction to anything familiar. They feel alien, and Ayanokoji is the perfect example. His unnatural calm is his weapon. When others scream, he whispers. When others cry, he observes. When others break down, he sits unshaken. And the message his silence sends is louder than any words. I am not like you. I'm beyond you. Have you ever experienced this in real life? Maybe during an argument, you're yelling at someone, but they don't react. They just stare at you, calm, composed, maybe even slightly amused. You feel your own anger crumble because it suddenly feels ridiculous. That's the unsettling power of unnatural calm. There's a famous psychological experiment where participants had to play a negotiation game. One side was told to react emotionally, angry, frustrated, demanding. The other side was told to remain completely calm, showing no emotion at all. The result? The calm group always won. Why? Because the emotional group burned themselves out, lost credibility, and eventually surrendered just to escape the discomfort of facing someone who wouldn't break. Ayanokoji embodies that principle. His calm is not a sign of weakness. It's the ultimate show of control. And deep down, people instinctively fear those they cannot emotionally move. But here's the twist. This calmness doesn't just intimidate, it manipulates. When someone refuses to react, others start overcompensating. They speak more, reveal more, try harder to provoke a response. And in that effort, they expose themselves. Ayanokoji doesn't need to interrogate people. He just lets silence and calmness do the work. Now, let's step into the practical. How can you use this in your own life? Number 1, stay calm under fire. When someone attacks you verbally, don't rush to defend yourself. Breathe, pause, let them spill their energy. That silence alone shifts the power dynamic. You become the immovable wall, and they become the one losing control. Number 2, use the uncanny effect. In stressful situations, don't react the way people expect. If everyone panics, lower your voice. If everyone yells, slow down your speech. That subtle break in rhythm unsettles people, because you're not dancing to the same tune. Number 3, control your micro-expressions. Most people reveal themselves through tiny flinches, raised eyebrows, or nervous smiles. Train yourself to erase those tells. The less readable you are, the more powerful your presence becomes. People can't fight what they can't predict. But let me warn you, this is a double-edged sword. If you stay too calm, too often, people may start to distrust you. Because while confidence is admirable, unnatural calm feels alien. That's exactly why Ayanokoji inspires both fear and respect. His calm is not human, and people sense it. Here's something to think about. We live in a world where everyone reacts instantly. Social media, arguments, competition. Everyone rushes to prove themselves, to show emotions, to fight back. But the one who waits, who doesn't react, Who watches quietly, that person terrifies others. Because silence feels like power. Calm feels like control. And there's one deeper layer here. Calmness is not just an outward show. It's an inward weapon. When you master your emotions, you stop being manipulated. No insult can provoke you. No praise can seduce you. No crisis can shake you. You become unshakable. And when you're unshakable, you're untouchable. That's why Ayanokoji's unnatural calm is his deadliest trait. Because it signals a man who has cut away everything human. Fear, anger, joy, pride. He is a blank canvas, impossible to read, impossible to manipulate. And people fear that kind of emptiness more than anything else. So let me leave you with a question. When people look at you, do they see someone easily rattled? Or do they see someone disturbingly calm? Someone they cannot figure out? Someone whose silence feels heavier than words? By the end of this story, you'll realize calmness isn't just peace, it's power. It's control. And in the right hands, it's fear itself. Some people demand respect, others beg for attention. Ayanokoji does neither. Yet when he walks into a room, people instinctively know he is better than them. Not because he says it, not because he shows off, but because his very presence radiates silent competence. This is the aura of competence, and it is far more terrifying than manipulation or force. Think about it. We all know someone who doesn't brag, doesn't flex, doesn't try to prove themselves, yet somehow you just know they're operating on a higher level. Maybe it's the way they move, the way they handle problems effortlessly, or the way they never seem worried about failure. Their capability leaks out without them saying a word. That's the exact energy Ayanokoji carries. Psychologists call this implicit dominance, the unspoken hierarchy of human groups. You don't need to declare yourself the leader. People just feel it. And once they feel it, they defer to you automatically. In every group, there's always a hidden chain of command. Some try to shout their way to the top. Others try to control through manipulation. But then there are the rare few, like Ayanokoji, who rise without ever asking. Because everyone senses one thing. This person can do what we cannot. It's unsettling because it threatens the deepest insecurity humans carry, the fear of being irrelevant. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're in class, everyone's struggling to solve a difficult problem. People debate, guess, argue, waste time. Then quietly, without effort, one person writes the solution in seconds, closes the notebook, and walks away. They didn't explain. They didn't boast. But instantly, the room knows they're operating at another level. You don't need to be told. You feel it. That is Ayanokoji. His silence is not emptiness, it's confidence. His calm is not ignorance, it's assurance. And his refusal to show off is not humility, it's dominance. Because when you're truly competent, you don't need to prove it. Others prove it for you by comparison. Here's the psychological trap. When people sense someone is more competent, they automatically step down. It's wired into us. From evolution, survival depended on recognizing stronger, smarter, more capable individuals and yielding to them. This is why Ayanokoji doesn't need to manipulate. People instinctively give him space, fearing what happens if they challenge him. But the aura of competence doesn't just inspire respect. It breeds fear. Why? Because if one man can do everything better, what does that make you? Replaceable, irrelevant, powerless. This is the invisible intimidation Ayanokoji projects. He doesn't compete. He doesn't argue. He just performs at a level so clean, so flawless, that others stop trying. His competence is a silent reminder. Whatever you think you can do, I can do better. Let's go deeper. Why does this work? 1. Competence destroys uncertainty. Most people hesitate, doubt, second guess. Ayanokoji doesn't. He acts with quiet precision. That decisiveness alone convinces others he knows what he's doing, even if he never explains. 2. Competence silences insecurity. In groups, people constantly try to one-up each other. But when someone is so obviously capable, the competition collapses. There's no point trying to outshine the sun. 3. Competence builds invisible authority. Leaders don't have to declare themselves. True authority comes from competence people can't ignore. And once they recognize it, resistance feels foolish. Have you ever felt this in real life? Maybe you're working on a team project. Everyone argues about what to do. Then, one quiet person delivers the perfect solution, executed flawlessly, while the rest are still stuck in theory. What happens? Everyone defers to them, even if they never asked to lead. That's the aura of competence. There's also a darker side. People don't just admire competence, they resent it. Ayanokoji's presence constantly triggers fear because his very existence exposes the weakness of others. They cannot match him. And when someone makes you feel small without trying, you hate them for it. That's why his classmates fear him without him lifting a finger. He doesn't threaten them. He doesn't manipulate them. He simply exists in a way that reminds them, you are ordinary, and I am not. Now, how do you apply this in your own life? First, stop over-explaining. Competence is not in words, it's in results. Instead of telling people what you can do, show them through quiet, consistent action. The less you talk, the more powerful your aura becomes. Second, focus on precision. Small things reveal capability. How you handle tasks, how you react under stress, how you manage details. Every time you execute with accuracy, people notice, even if they never mention it. Third, avoid unnecessary competition. The competent don't waste energy proving themselves against every challenger. They choose their battles. And when they move, they win so decisively that no one doubts them again. And fourth, embody silent authority. When you walk into a room, don't seek attention. Don't posture. Just let your confidence radiate through calm posture, controlled tone, and quiet certainty. People sense it. They always do. But here's the paradox. Competence doesn't always make you loved. In fact, it often isolates you. Because the more capable you are, the more others fear their own irrelevance around you. Ayanokoji lives in that paradox. Respected, feared, yet never truly embraced. His aura of competence makes him untouchable, but also untouchably alone. That is the cost of mastery. When you rise high enough above others, you don't need to declare yourself king. They already know. But in their recognition lies their fear, and in their fear lies your control. So ask yourself this. Do people around you feel relieved by your presence? Or do they feel threatened by it? Because if your competence is undeniable, it will not just earn respect. It will create silence. It will create distance. And for some, it will create fear. In the end, the aura of competence is not about showing what you can do. It's about becoming so capable that you don't need to show anything at all. People just know. And that silent knowledge is the ultimate power. Fear is a strange thing. Sometimes it's not created by you. It's created by everyone else talking about you. That's exactly how Ayanokoji operates. He doesn't run around spreading fear. He doesn't intimidate people directly. Instead, one small act, one decisive move, ripples through the group like shockwaves. And suddenly, stories about him begin to circulate. Rumors spread. Reputations form. People start whispering, exaggerating, and building a myth that is far larger than the actual man. And that's where the real fear comes from. Ayanokoji's power is not just in what he does. It's in what people say about what he does. His silence fuels their imagination. His rare actions fuel their rumors. And the combination creates something more terrifying than anything he could say himself. A reputation. Let's break it down. Imagine you're in school. A conflict breaks out. Most people would argue, shout, posture. But Ayanokoji? He stays silent until it matters. Then, in a single, unexpected moment, he dismantles the problem completely. So quickly and cleanly that nobody even understands how he did it. The room freezes. Everyone stares. And when the moment passes, they walk away whispering, "Did you see what he just did? How did he do it?" What else is he capable of? By the next day, the story is retold 10 different ways. By the end of the week, people you've never met already fear you. Not because they saw it, but because they heard about it. And by the end of the month, your reputation has grown larger than you ever intended. That's Ayanokoji's genius. He doesn't spread fear. Others do it for him. Psychology explains this as social proof and fear contagion. Social proof is when people look to others to decide what's real. If 10 people whisper that you're dangerous, the 11th person doesn't need proof. They simply believe it. Fear contagion is even deeper. Emotions spread like viruses. If one person is scared of you, their body language infects the rest. And soon, without you doing anything, the entire room feels uneasy when you walk in. This is why reputation is more powerful than direct intimidation. Fear doesn't have to come from your mouth. It only has to come from your legend. Think about history. Some warriors never had to fight because their reputation was so terrifying that enemies surrendered before the battle began. Some leaders never had to argue because their name alone silenced the room. Reputations fight battles before you ever lift a finger. Now, Ayanokoji understands this perfectly. He acts rarely. But when he acts, it is shocking enough that people never forget. And then he lets the whispers do the rest. He never corrects the rumors. He never clarifies. He lets the silence feed the fear. And here's the key. One legendary act is enough. Humans don't need repeated proof. They just need one unforgettable story. That story is retold again and again, each time with more exaggeration until it becomes myth. Think of it this way. If you're in a group project and you outsmart the entire class with one brilliant, ruthless move, people will never see you the same again. Even if you never do anything else, that one act will brand you. They'll always wonder, what if he does it again? That's why Ayanokoji doesn't chase constant recognition. He plays for impact. A single decisive act creates a shadow that follows him everywhere. Now let's get practical. How do you use this in real life? First, understand the value of rarity. If you're constantly trying to impress, people get used to it. But if you stay silent, hold back, and then strike with one incredible performance, people never forget it. It's not about quantity. It's about timing. Second, don't chase your reputation. Let others build it for you. The moment you start bragging, it loses power. The strongest reputations are always spoken about in whispers, not shouts. Third, leverage mystery. Leave things unsaid. When people don't fully understand you, they fill in the blanks themselves. And what they imagine is always scarier than what you actually are. And fourth, make your acts decisive. One legendary move is better than 100 average ones. Choose moments where you can deliver maximum impact. Let that single action echo. Here's the paradox. Fear through reputation frees you from effort. You don't have to fight everyone. You don't have to prove yourself daily. But it also traps you. Because once people see you as more than human, they stop treating you as human. They avoid you. They whisper about you. They build a legend that isolates you. Ayanokoji embodies this paradox. He isn't feared because he threatens people. He's feared because his reputation precedes him. His silence makes others imagine horrors he never even committed. And his rare displays of brilliance create legends that grow far beyond reality. That's why people fear him without him even trying. His reputation does the work for him. So here's the life-changing lesson. You don't need to shout to be remembered. You don't need to constantly prove yourself. All you need is one unforgettable act, executed so cleanly, so decisively, that it etches itself into people's memory forever. From then on, your name will speak louder than your voice ever could. In the end, fear through reputation is not about what you say about yourself. It's about what others can't stop saying about you. And that, more than anything else, is why Ayanokoji will always be feared. There's a reason some people make you uneasy, even when they don't say a word. You can't explain it. They're not loud. They're not threatening. They might even be polite. And yet, something deep inside you whispers, this person is dangerous. That's the predator instinct. It's not about what is said. It's not even about visible aggression. It's about the subtle cues, the eye contact, the posture, the stillness, the way someone occupies space, that trigger ancient survival alarms in our brain. Ayanokoji radiates this instinct without effort. His presence feels like that of a predator who doesn't need to move to dominate. People can't put it into words, but they sense it in their body. And when your body tells you someone is a threat, your mind obeys. Let's break this down. Humans are animals first, thinkers second. For millions of years, survival depended on detecting predators before they attacked. That's why we evolved subconscious systems that constantly scan body language around us. A sudden stillness, an unblinking stare, or a calm movement at the wrong time sets off alarms. Now think about Ayanokoji. He doesn't fidget. He doesn't waste movement. When he walks, he glides. When he sits, he doesn't slump like everyone else. He's unnaturally composed. And when his eyes lock onto someone, he doesn't blink nervously or look away. He just observes, cold, steady, unreadable. To the human brain, this feels unnatural. This feels predatory. Predators in the wild don't waste energy. They stay still, conserve strength, and strike only when necessary. Prey animals, on the other hand, fidget, twitch, and move nervously. Which means, whether we admit it or not, when someone moves like a predator, we instinctively categorize them as a threat. That's why people fear Ayanokoji without him trying. It's not just his intelligence. It's the way his body unconsciously communicates. I am in control. I can strike at any time. Let's look at the psychology behind this. Researchers call it evolutionary fear response. When someone's movements don't match normal human behavior, the brain flags it. Stillness where there should be motion. Calmness where there should be emotion. Control where most people lose balance. These cues feel inhuman. And inhuman to our survival brain equals dangerous. This explains why soldiers, fighters, or dominant leaders can unsettle you even when they're silent. Their body language carries discipline, focus, and lethal capability. They don't have to threaten you directly. Your subconscious already knows. Now imagine you're in a classroom with Ayanokoji. Everyone else laughs, shifts in their seats, taps their pens. But he sits perfectly still, expression blank, eyes scanning like a hunter studying prey. Nobody calls him out on it. Nobody says it out loud, but everyone feels it. The tension is real. It spreads in the room like an invisible pressure. That's predator instinct in action. Here's another angle: eye contact. Most people break eye contact quickly because it feels uncomfortable. But predators don't. They maintain a steady, unflinching gaze. In the animal kingdom, eye contact is a test of dominance. The one who looks away first submits. Ayanokoji doesn't flinch. He doesn't look away. And without saying a word, he communicates control. Even his silences have weight. When most people are quiet, it feels awkward, weak, submissive. But when Ayanokoji is quiet, it feels calculated, as if he's giving you the illusion of safety, while studying exactly how to dismantle you. That perception alone is enough to inspire fear. So, how can this be applied in real life? First, understand the power of stillness. Most people move too much. They tap, shuffle, over-gesture. But if you train yourself to remain calm, controlled, and economical in your movements, people will unconsciously sense confidence. And confidence, when amplified, feels dangerous. Second, master your eyes. Don't dart them around nervously. Don't break contact too quickly. A steady gaze shows control. Just enough to unsettle, but not so much it becomes cartoonish. Third, own your space. Predators don't shrink. They expand subtly. When you walk into a room, don't rush. Don't make yourself small. Move like you belong. This alone shifts how people perceive you. And finally, embrace silence. Don't fill every gap with words. Let silence work for you. The right pause creates more pressure than the longest speech. But here's the paradox. The same instinct that gives you power also isolates you. People admire warmth. They feel safe around softness. Predator instinct, on the other hand, makes them cautious, guarded, afraid to get too close. Ayanokoji embodies this paradox perfectly. His aura keeps him untouchable, but also untouchably alone. That's why people fear him without him trying. His body speaks a language older than words. A language every human recognizes, even if they don't understand why. The language of a predator. So here's the takeaway. Power isn't always in shouting, fighting, or proving yourself. Sometimes it's in the quiet signals. The way you look, the way you move, the way you remain unnervingly calm when everyone else is restless. When you embody the predator instinct, you don't need to show your strength. People will feel it before you ever act. And that, more than anything else, is why Ayanokoji terrifies others. Because deep inside, we are still animals. And animals always fear the predator. Fear is usually born from actions. A raised voice, a sudden threat, a violent move. We expect fear to come from something visible. But with Ayanokoji, the truth is more unsettling. People don't fear him because of what he does. They fear him because of what he is. His power isn't a weapon he shows. It isn't a strategy he announces. It's a quiet current beneath everything he does. Like deep water, silent on the surface, but hiding an impossible depth below. People sense it, even when they can't explain it. And that's where the fear begins. Think about it. Most people need to prove themselves. They argue. They posture. They show strength to gain respect. But true power doesn't try. True power radiates without effort. You don't need to shout when everyone already knows you could silence the room at any moment. That's Ayanokoji's essence. The unnatural calm. The aura of competence. The predator instinct. The reputation that spreads faster than any rumor. All of it blends into one truth. He terrifies not by force, but by existence. And here's the deeper lesson. Fear doesn't always come from aggression. It comes from uncertainty. From the quiet possibility that the person in front of you is capable of more than you can ever handle. Ayanokoji embodies that unknown. You never see the full extent of his power. You only see glimpses, just enough to remind you that the rest remains hidden. That's why silence is scarier than shouting. That's why stillness is scarier than chaos. That's why Ayanokoji, without trying, becomes the figure others can't help but fear. But this isn't just about him. It's about you. When you build a mind so strong, a presence so composed, and a skill set so sharp that people sense it without you announcing it, that esis when you stop chasing respect and start commanding it. You don't need to prove. You don't need to explain. People will feel it. And yes, this power has a cost. People admire charisma, warmth, friendliness. But when you step into the realm of silent authority, you trade comfort for dominance. You don't become the approachable friend. You become the figure others whisper about, the one they second guess, the one they respect from a distance. That's the paradox of true power. It doesn't invite closeness. It creates space. It builds fear, even when you never intended it. So here's the cinematic truth. Ayanokoji's fear factor isn't in his victories, his manipulation, or his intelligence alone. It's in the way he radiates an effortless dominance that others can't measure. It's the fear of the unknown, the fear of the unreadable, the fear of the predator that never needs to roar. And now the question turns to you. When was the first time you felt that fear from Ayanokoji? Was it the way he dismantled an opponent with one move? Was it the coldness in his eyes when he spoke without emotion? Or was it the silence, the endless, suffocating silence that made you realize this character is different from anyone else you've seen? Comment your answer below. I want to know your moment. And if you want more deep dives into the psychology of power, fear, and control, subscribe now. This is just the beginning. Together, we'll unlock the hidden codes of influence, the same codes that make characters like Ayanokoji unforgettable and can make you unstoppable in real life. Because in the end, true power doesn't perform. True power exists. And once people feel it, they can never unsee it.